Father of Man. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected Vaivasvat Manu, keeping him on a boat. Keeping him up on a boat. Purport. According to Sripad Sridhar Swami, according to Sripad Sridhar Swami, the original commentator on the Bhagavatam, there is not always a devastation after the change of every Manu. And yet, this inundation after the period of Chakshusha Manu took place in order to show some wonders to Satyavrata. But Sri Jiva Goswami has given definite proofs from the authoritative scriptures like Vishnu Dharmottara, Markandeya Puran, Harivansha, etc., that there is always a devastation after the end of each and every Manu. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has also supported Srila Jiva Goswami, and he, Sri Chakravarti, has also quoted from Bhagavatamrita about this inundation after each Manu. Apart from this, the Lord, in order to show special favor to Satyavrata, devotee of the Lord, in this particular period, incarnated himself. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham mande Shri Gurun dinatarinam. So, when there was a complete inundation after the period of the Chakshusha Manu, and the whole world was deep within water, the Lord accepted the form of a fish and protected the Vaivasvat Manu, keeping him up on a boat. So, this chapter is a very interesting chapter describing the creative process. And also today, there are many celebrations to be celebrated. Today is Krishna Rasa, which means Kartik Purnima, the full moon day of Kartik, where there is a beautiful Ras Leela happening. If you have the eyes to see, you can see Krishna's Ras Leela. Then also the appearance day of Nimbarkacharya, great powerful Acharya. And there is the marriage of Tulsi Shaligram. Tulsi is getting married to Shaligram on this day. I'll gradually get to those celebrations. Let me first speak on this verse. So, the essence of this purport is very interesting. That even on the level of the absolute realization, the acharyas like Sridhar Swami, acharyas like Jiva Goswami, and acharyas like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, even on the absolute platform, commenting on Bhagavatam, they disagree with each other, right? We always generally have the understanding that disagreement is because of misunderstanding. We don't know, somebody's level of advancement is different, therefore his view will be different than somebody else's view. But here you find on the absolute level there is disagreements possible, right? We find a similar section in Srimad Bhagavatam when Ashwathama was captured by Arjun and the Pandavas and brought in, and they asked Draupadi, what should we do with him? Bhimsen said, kill him. He's a rascal. Arjun also said, kill him. And then Draupadi said, no. How do you dare to kill the Dronacharya? The Dronacharya, he's the son of Dronacharya. Dronacharya is still living within him. So how can you kill his own guru? And Arjun was silenced. And then Krishna had to make the final decision. So they're all pure devotees here, all Uttamadhikaris who can see Krishna, speak with Krishna, and still they have a difference of opinion. Right? So I might wonder then what is the process then, the absolute process, because in the material world there is so much disagreements, even that they throw bombs on each other's head. So if it goes up to the spiritual world, then how will there be peace and equality and harmony? So it has to be understood that the way the creation was made, the very first verse of this chapter goes as follows: Jagrihe paurusham rupam bhagavan madadibhi sambhutam shodashakalam adoloka sasrikshaya. So this means, Jagrihe means to accept. It's a Sanskrit for accepting. Paurusham Rupam, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he has to accept the three Purusha avatars. Anybody knows who the Purusha avatars are? And the last one? Kshirodhaya Vishnu. They are called Purusha avatars. And it says if one understands these three Purusha avatars, one becomes liberated from this material world. So how does it work? So how does it work? It works in the following way. This is how the chapter starts, and then we can have some deeper insights in this. There is always a debate that is this creation started from nothing, from zero, from shunya, and then from shunya comes everything. Is that possible? Even the quantum physicists, they have found a word for the Advaita. They call it the singularity. We call it Advaita or Brahman, and they call it the singularity because they have to be unique. If they would say it's Advaita, then it's obvious where they got the quantum theory from. It's a very powerful theory because it's based on Aroha Pantha, what you see in the laboratory, and derive knowledge from that. But still, these Aroha Panthis who made this theory were students of the Upanishads, like Albert Einstein, Erwin Schrödinger, Niels Bohr, Eisenhower. These were all students of the Upanishads, so they got their insights from these books. And therefore, the truth is one. Whether you come from the Aroha Pantha or the Avaroha Pantha, you'll meet the same truth. Now, for us Westerners who have been educated in schools and universities, being trained that seeing is believing, it will be very interesting to approach the creation story as Bhagavatam, in terminologies of quantum physics. And it becomes shockingly realistic that Bhagavatam is not mythology, it is science. Very powerful science. So, it describes Shri Radha Madhava Ji ki jai, Gaur Nitai ki jai, Krishna Balaram ki jai. It is Radha Madhava here, isn't it?
Radha Govinda Madhava.
Govinda Madhava, okay. I wasn't sure in the morning, I was like, what is his name? There is no board here. So Mayapur is Radha Madhava, maybe here is also Radha Madhava. I speculated a little bit, but I was half right. Radha Govinda Madhava. And a beautiful Trimanga Lalita form. What means Trimanga Lalita? Bent at three places. Actually, the form of Krishna here, he has his left cheek on his left shoulder. And this is coming directly from Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it's called Venu Gita. Vama bahu krita vama kapolo valgita bhrura dhararapita venum komalanguli bhirashrita margam gopyairayati yatra mukundaha. When Krishna goes out to herd the cows, he rests his left cheek on his left shoulder, and his fingers are playing on the venu, on his flute. And as he goes into the forest, the gopis sing about his qualities. So that's exactly that form. So first time here, so it's very interesting to see that. There's a lot of hidden rasa is here. So we go back to material rasa now. I will use some of these terminologies which quantum science uses, and it will make us more understandable. So there are three incarnations of the Absolute, Krishna, who are responsible for this material world, for the creation of the material world. Now, as you know, that Krishna is always absolute. He's untouched by material qualities, material natures. And therefore, he has to expand into three personalities who have some affection, as Prabhupada says, who has some affection for material nature. And Krishna has no affection for the material nature. He's always transcendental. He's nirmohi, never influenced, never in illusion of the material nature. But still, in order to control it, he has to incarnate in three, it's not actually incarnation, it's come from Baladeva actually. Krishna, he reflects, Baladeva expands into Mahavishnu, Kshirodakasai Vishnu, and Garbhodakasai Vishnu. Now these personalities, we have heard about them, and they are huge personalities. But what is our relationship with them? How do we experience them? Anybody recently has seen Mahavishnu here? Anybody recently saw Mahavishnu? Right? So, but we read from them and we accept them easily. Is there any physical evidence, right? Because you're from a school where you learn that seeing is believing. Have you seen this Mahavishnu? Right, no, there you already standing with a mouthful of teeth and empty words. So let us see if we can make it a little bit more realistic here. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, the creation starts from the Brahmajyoti. The Brahmajyoti is free from the three modes of material nature. And therefore, that consciousness of Sat, It is not fully Sachidan, it's only Sat. The Sat consciousness has to become a little bit blurred, has to become grossified. There is another terminology Jiva Goswami uses for that's called Panjikarana, which is the final solidification of consciousness. It melts into Pradhana. Pradhana is like a sleeping state of consciousness of matter. Yes, matter also sleeps. Then, when the time element is created by the first Purusha avatar, Mahavishnu, then that Pradhana, which is unmanifest material nature, or you can say sleeping material nature, becomes awakened into Mahatattva. And as soon as time enters, then the creation unfolds like that. And this Mahatattva, which is very mystical, actually is experienced by us daily in the form of prana. Anybody knows what prana is? Life force is the translation of that. How do you experience your prana, your life force daily? Breathing, okay. Is breathing equal to prana, or is there something else to that also? Why do you breathe? You're alive. What means alive? Being alive. Active means alive. Yogis are also alive, but they're not active. The soul is in the body. That is life. Okay. But there are sometimes souls in stones also. You know, the Nrishingadev in Mayapur, he was created or carved from a stone, which it is alive, living stone. So, you know, the interaction between matter and spirit is sometimes amazing. There are some crystals who have souls in them. They have consciousness but no willpower. You know, so thinking, feeling, and willing, we take it for granted. It's not in every species the same. Some can only think, some can only feel, some can only will. We have all three of that. So when it boils down from spirit into matter, there are many, many mystical things. But this Mahatattva is experienced by us as prana. Now prana, we get prana by breathing. Now according to Ayurveda, prana is a mixture of air, ether, and water. So there is a liquidous or fluided aspect to prana. And this prana is everywhere. Trees also, they breathe this prana. When you breathe in air, it has to be absorbed by your hemoglobins, and it turns into certain kind of energy. Like you can call it like the pneumatics in physics. Pneumatics means that by the power of air, you can lift something. Sometimes when you have these buses here also. When the bus stops, then you hear, it expels the excess air in this suspension system. That's called pneumatics. And then you have your digging machines, very powerful digging machines. You have one of them here. That's working on hydraulics, the pressure of liquids, of oil. So now our body also works on similar principles. The pressure we have in our body is necessary. It's coming from the pneumatic principles. The blood flow, the blood pressure, everyone knows if you don't have blood pressure, you faint. If you have too much blood pressure, you're always angry, you're always aggressive, high BP, say like that. So we have a similar principle upon which this works. So this Mahatattva boils down in our daily life as we experience it in prana. Now, if you have ever practiced yoga, of course we are bhakti yogis, but the mechanical yoga of Patanjali, there is something called pranayam. Again, the word pran is used there. Prana, ayam. Ayam means coming and going, just like yatayat means traffic in Sanskrit, coming and going. So, if you regulate the intake of your breathing and the outgoing, then you have again yogic terms. It's called Puraka, Rechaka, and Kumbhaka. It's a specific thing by which you regulate your prana and by which you can then control the mind also. And this is therefore seen, Bhagavatam mentions that also, Mahatattva is experienced by the conditioned living entities as consciousness or pranic flow in the body. And that's called life force. That means consciousness. So Mahatattva is in everyone, in every personality, in the form of consciousness, like that. So now how this same Vasudeva consciousness becomes different in each one. Everyone has a different experience, different level of consciousness there are. But it is interesting that these very mystical and theoretical subjects are actually daily experienced by us. Pradhan, Mahatattva, we live among it, right? And there are saints who have sung about this. Like Meera, the great saint from Rajasthan, she sings, Govindo pran amaro re, mane jag lagyo kharo re. Gujarati. And so they translated the song in Gujarati. It's her song. She says, Govinda is my prana. When she means prana, she doesn't mean the mechanical. She means my emotions, my love, my life, like that. That's what prana gives. So it's actually Mahatattva. Literally what she says, Govinda is my prana. Yes, Govinda is everything. He's everywhere in the form of life force. In trees, in animals, in humans, in plants, in grass, and everything. In Umayapur, he is everywhere present, Govinda. So that is how Mahatattva is created. Now, this Mahatattva is being created by Mahavishnu or Karanodaka Sai Vishnu. Now, this Vishnu is not only creating the elements because we like to see things from that angle. Quantum physics only knows the subatomical particles and things like that. But there is a very great understanding here. Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra. Is he sleeping? He's a sleeping yogi. Yoga Nidra. What is Yoga Nidra? Mahavishnu is in Yoga Nidra. What means yoga? You already know. I gave some classes this in Kerala. So, what means yoga? Unity, uniting, connection. Who is he connected with? With God. Who is he? He's also God. He's the perfect Mayavadi. Everything is one. I'm everything. Everything is me. Only he can say like that. Yoga means he's in connection. Actually, he's meditating on Krishna's pastimes. Because when Krishna and Arjuna went to the Bhuma Purusha, how it's also called, he was saying, I always been thinking of you, waiting when you will come back. So he's in yoga and he's meditating on the Vaikuntha and the Goloka pastimes. But from the outside, he looks like he is sleeping. Now, because he's not sleeping, he's internal conscious. Externally, he might not be conscious. It's called yoga nidra. Nidra means sleep. Sleep means that you look like you're not moving. Your karmic aspect, your active aspect is suspended. But inside, you're dreaming like you're a king. You're enjoying, walking around here in your beautiful, royal crown and sword and walking in like you're a king here in Umayapur. Because it's royal, architecture. But then, from the outside, you're just sleeping and breathing. And you're enjoying in your dream. So, Mahavishnu's Yoga Nidra is something like that. The consciousness, called Vasudev consciousness of Vaikuntha and of Golok, has been suspended in this Purusha. This is needed to start the material creation. As long as you are conscious of your spiritual form, you will not be able to enjoy material nature. It has to be forgotten, right? And therefore, the jivas who are injected into this material nature, into the Mahatattva, their consciousness is suspended in a state of deep sleep. It's called Sushupti. Somewhere they use Sushupti also for dreaming state. But let us take in the seventh canto, Prahlad Maharaj, he described it very nicely and he uses that terminology. So that level of consciousness is being facilitated by Karanodaka Sai Vishnu, that you can have a deep sleep even. And that is necessary to be recharged so that when you wake up in the Jagran world, in this wake state, you can act. This is like your mobile. Unless you recharge it, in the morning you can't use it. At the night, then you recharge at night. So this is the first level of consciousness. All that spirituality, all that transcendence has to be reduced into a deep sleep state in order for the creation to start. Okay? So that's the first state which is created, Sushupti. It's created in a state where consciousness is slumbering or even not even manifested yet. Means material consciousness. It's a Karana state of consciousness. And the jivas who are there, they have a Karana Sharira, a body made of elements from that Karana ocean, the causal ocean. It is different than the subtle body. The subtle body is not created in that state yet. Jivas are in deep sleep. Then, when Mahavishnu feels, okay, while he is actually having his Yoga Nidra, many universes come out of his pores in seed forms. Somewhere they are called Hiranya Garbhas, golden eggs, and somewhere they are said to be the souls of Brahma. But because they are conscious, Mahavishnu creates dots of consciousness, which then float in the causal ocean. And those little eggs, they have to become ripened. They need a shell. And then what Mahavishnu does, he glances at them. The time element comes out, and finally, when these eggs are ripened after 1,000 ions, as Srila Prabhupada mentions, then he injects all the jivas in all these eggs, just like frog eggs coagulate together. And when the jivas enter, they enter through the Jyotirlingam, from the Kurcha Deshat, from the place between his eyebrows. You can say a laser comes out. You can say laser light. That is Shambhu. And partially it reflects on the eggshells, and partially it transcends. It goes back into the Vaikuntha area. And then Shiva has two forms: Sadashiva, which is a Vishnu form basically. Advaitacharya has both Shiva and Vishnu, just like you have the Bhubaneshwar, who's called his name, the Bhubaneshwar Jyotirlingam. Anybody knows the name? If you go to Bhubaneshwar, that Shiva Lingam there is they offer Tulsi and Bil at the same time there, because Vishnu and Shiva are there, Harihar, which we have in our philosophy is Advaitacharya, is both Vishnu and Shiva at the same time. So that comes out, that Vishnu aspect becomes Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, the pregnant Vishnu. And that Shiva aspect, which enters there, is called Shambhu. So both enter with all the jivas, and therefore you can say Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is the father of all jivas. We can also say Shambhu is the father of all jivas, because they come together. So when they enter, it's quite surprising that you find the Markandeya Puran, because it's mentioned here. I'll go also to that angle. Then it says Shakti smiles. The whole creation started from a smile of Shakti, according to the Markandeya Puran. So what is that smile? That Shakti is that golden egg. That's the universe, the golden womb. And then when Shambhu, her husband, enters, she starts to smile. She starts to reawaken, So that's quite interesting. But it's from the other angle. If in the darkness, a smile appears. Because within the egg, it's still dark. So when the lingam enters, the Jyotirlingam in the light form, then you find that beautiful smile appearing. So he wakes up. My husband is there. And then they start further on the creation of the elements. Then we know the story of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu. He is the universal form. He manifests as the complete universe. He's actually the Paramatma of the entire universe. And he's the pregnant Vishnu. He shows you the principle that he doesn't need the Lakshmi to give birth to a child. Within this Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, all the jivas are there. And if you look in the order of creation, it says that the original Mahatattva was pure in the mode of goodness, Suddha Sattva, which is basically Vasudeva consciousness. But all of a sudden, it turned into the mode of passion. Ego appeared in there. So I was doing a lot of research. What is all of a sudden? What is all of a sudden? This all of a sudden pollution of Mahatattva came because of the desires of the jivas. As long as they are when they are injected, and as long as they are sleeping, their desires are not manifest. Why they are not manifest? Because they don't have a subtle body yet. When Karanodaka Sai Vishnu has the jiva in himself, they don't have any mind, intelligence, and ego. And the origin of mind, intelligence, and ego is your desire, right? So it seems here that in the state of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, they start to become awakened. And when they become awakened, then they need a mind to express themselves. They need an ego and an intelligence. And that creates a great force in the navel of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and it pops out like a lotus, and then it grows. And I have a brother-in-law who is a medical man. He said that, yes, and that lotus in women is inside. The placenta is just like a lotus. I'm a brahmachari, I don't know. You might know. Anyway, so it seems to be a similar principle when it comes out. And then Brahma, he starts to do the secondary creation. There is something called Sarga and Visarga. Creation of the elements, that's up to the elements, that's Mahavishnu's creation. And then the further creation of giving conditioned bodies to the jivas according to their desires and their psychology is done by Brahma. So then you have, when Brahma gives the subtle bodies and according to the mentalities of the jivas, he gives all these species. You find Brahma is yawning, and he stretches, then snakes come out, and then ghosts come out. So he has to create that blueprint for the jivas to have that. It turns out that the subtle body has another blueprint. There's another cause. It's not that the subtle body only is the cause for the gross body, but the subtle body itself has another a blueprint connected to karma. And then when all that is created, then still Kshirodakasai Vishnu has to come also as Paramatma, entering every atom and also entering in everyone's heart. Unless Kshirodakasai Vishnu stabilizes this external creation, it might really unfold back into the spiritual aspect, into zero, into Brahman, like that. So this is how, if you look at this now from the quantum physical angle, they also agree that their theories are pointing out to something called the singularity. That all forces of nature, electromagnetism, gravity, they all point to one singular point. And then they call that the singularity. We call it Pradhan. It cannot be Brahman because Brahman is beyond the modes. There are no modes in there. And they have also seen some interesting aspects in the laboratory. It's like consciousness influences matter. How is that? It came from the double slit experiment, which was done in, around 1912 or something like that. It's more than 100 years ago now. What happened is that in a laboratory, I can explain it in this way. Suppose you go into a bowling alley and you have these balls and you throw, and the goal is to get these pions down, right? Then you have to score. So the double slit experiment in a laboratory was very similar to that. Only you don't use bowling balls. You use little electrons and see how they behave. So you have to change the setup a little bit. If you have a bowling alley and at the back you have these pions which you have thrown off, you replace those pions with a screen. Where a ball hits, there you find a dot, or you can register how many balls hit the screen at the back. Now, in between you and the screen, there has to be a second screen with double openings, slit. So when you throw a ball, it goes to the slit, it will hit at the back. That's understood, right? But those balls who don't go to the slit but hit back, they never make it to the screen. Okay? This is how similar the double slit was. So in this way you can register, and you'll find that behind the slit there will be the most of the hitting points of the balls. Where there is no slit, there will be no hitting points at the back. That's easy, right? Okay. Now, if you make the slits very small and don't throw bowling balls, but little electrons, what happens is those electrons which make it through the slit, they hit the screen at the back, but also there where there is no slit, where there is no opening, right? So electrons, they go through the slit, and not at the back they change their course. Something happens, and they create a wavy pattern on the screen. So it was very mystical. How is that? Some scientists speculated that maybe an electron in motion turns into a wave. Because what you see at the back has a wavy behavior. And there's a lot of debate about this, what it actually means. And then one scientist came up, his name was Max Born. He said, what you see there at the screen is not where most of the electrons go. It's not like that. That wave is a probability wave, what you see there. So it means that the electrons have any place they can go at random, right? But showing a pattern is only the chance it can go there, right? It's not for sure. Once it goes through the slit, it can go anywhere. You can't see where it goes. But there is a pattern here. There is a chance. It's a chance wave. And that was blowing out scientists their security, because they were very sure about science. Science meant different from religion, right? That's how Western science started. They started actually rebelling against the church, because the church was superstitious and they wanted to have something sure, and they were very happy about classical physics, which means like you throw a ball, it goes into an elliptic way, falls in the water, you have ripples, everything was calculated. But this thing was making them unsure. The fundamental principle of nature is probability, not certainty. And they have a lot of difficulty with that. What it turns out then, it all started from an experiment they did in the lab with light coming from gases, just like you have a TL tube. I think that's a French invention. If you put light through a prism, it creates strokes, not the spectrum of the rainbow. They tried to explain that, and Niels Bohr came up with the theory that the energy of electrons comes in little quanta, little particles, which you can't divide further. So that was interesting. How is that? It's non-physical, because we can sit anywhere we like. It's not that you can only sit here or there or there. Everything is fixed. But on a small world, it is like that. And that is what you can call the Paramanu, which you find in the third canto, is that the Paramanu is indivisible and you can't go further. So according to my understanding, what closest comes to a Paramanu is a photon. So now it turns out they were measuring but there's uncertainty. It turns out that these subatomic particles, they communicate with each other. What gives it a definite spin? And it came to a high discussion with Niels Bohr and Albert Einstein. He said, do we really believe that reality is dependent on whether we have opened or not our eyes? Because they saw in the laboratory, when you measure something, you'll find it there in that wave, You can only see how much is the chance if I look for him in this space that I'll find that electron there. You can't say for sure. There's always a chance. And Einstein couldn't believe it. God doesn't throw any dice. He said, he doesn't. And then when he went on and on like that, when Niels said, stop telling God what to do. So these were the first scientists, coming from the Upanishadic background. And they had an agreement that, yes, God has a hand in the creation. But what is his hand? So it is obvious, if the act of measurement, if you start measuring, then the atoms, they rearrange themselves in a certain way that what you're measuring you can measure. It means that consciousness influences matter. Consciousness is creating matter, as we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. It is the substratum of everything you find in this world, from subatomic particles to trees, plants, everything, is a solidification of Mahavishnu's consciousness. That's basically what it is, what Bhagavatam says. Now, having an atheistic foundation of modern science, they will talk about there is a creature in an ocean who's breathing out universes. It's a creature, right? Somebody created it. That's called creature. They will not agree that it's Mahavishnu because they have to have a atheistic foundation. Anyway, but there are many similarities to what they see and measure in what we see in the Bhagavatam. So then, what is Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu doing? Mahavishnu is creating deep sleep. Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is creating the dreaming state, that you can act, fulfill your desires in the universe with your subtle body, right? Mind, intelligence, and ego. And Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu is responsible that when you're awake in this world, you can observe all the phenomena, and that you can Mataha Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha, that you can remember things and forget things. So now looking at it from the other way, we went from deep sleep to dreaming and to acting. If you want to get self-realized, you have to follow the same principle of realization as the Bhagavatam says. If you look in how many chapters the Bhagavatam again and again tells the story of creation, there should be a reason why so many times, at least 5 times. Second canto talks about the creation. First canto talks about the creation. Kapila Dev's teachings about the creation. It appears again and again and again. Why is it? For those who are technically minded. If you are a devotee and you can cry for Krishna, yes, that's your way back to Godhead. But those who want to understand it scientifically, or a little bit block-headed like me, then they need a scientific explanation, a background. But it's very interesting. If you understand these 3 Vishnus, it says you are liberated, right? So what is this first Vishnu? Like to say Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, that's the first Vishnu. He is responsible for waking state, Jagran consciousness, right? So he allows you that when you're awake, that you think, oh, this is reality. This is what real is. But when you go to sleep and you dream, you forget about your body, right? Whether your body is there or not, doesn't matter. Whether the world even exists, doesn't matter to you because you're in dreamland, right? That indicates every night he's telling you, listen, without your gross body, it's not that you are dead, you still live, isn't it? That's the first step towards self-realization. There is also a chapter in the Bhagavatam, the first steps in God realization. Is it in here? Let me see. I think it's in this canto. Is it chapter? What? Second canto, is it? Yeah. First steps in God realization. This is the first step. Every night is telling you, listen, you're not your body. If you were your body, then when you dream, you're dead. Body's finished. Your consciousness is dissolved. Then, when you dream, there is another state where you go every night. Unless you go there, you can't rest properly. It's called deep sleep. It's a state in which the mind is dissolved. You don't see any dreams, right? And you're just aware, deeply aware only. You only feel happiness. And that happiness is coming because you are connected. You are lying on the lap of Mahavishnu sleeping. This is what the Vedanta Sutra says. That the Jivatma is sleeping on the lap of Mahavishnu. So what is he telling this Mahavishnu? Listen, you are also not your mind. Even in deep sleep, you're not dead, is it? You wake up again. So, you have wake, you have dream, and you have deep sleep. Wouldn't it be nice if you could wake up on the lap of Mahavishnu without having to become awake in this world? Or like one Prabhupada disciple, when I was giving this lecture in Holland, he said, what if you would die on the lap of Mahavishnu? Right? A Prabhupada disciple commented and said, you got the essence of my lecture, I said. Then you're self-realized. Because your body and your mind is dead. But you're still existing. The only step you have to do now is make your relationship back to, you have to cross the ocean still, the causal ocean. You cross the ocean only by pure love. Your relationship with Krishna. Srimati Radharani will pick up, therefore they say there's a shikha. There's an old saying, I don't know what the reference is, but she pulls you out of the material world by your shikha. So those who don't have a shikha, grow your shikha. Otherwise Srimati Radharani cannot pull you. Grow your shikha. She'll pull you from through the ocean, from Mahavishnu into Goloka Dham. Okay? So that is very interesting. How every night we are rascals. We are back into the lap of our great Mahavishnu, our father. We say in the morning, bye dad, I'm going back to the material world. And then we have a big debates in ISKCON. How did you fall? Every night you are falling. Why are you falling? Because of your desires. You have desires to fulfill in this so-called awakened world. You see? This is how consciousness works and how the creation works. Interesting, isn't it? Now it becomes very real. Bhagavatam has a lot of Nobel Prizes, Prabhupada says. At least 52. So go for it. Give me 10%, okay? If you get a Nobel Prize, and you got my ideas, then yeah, give me 10%. I'm told to go for that. Okay. So you find that if you understand these three Vishnus, you understand consciousness. And as we have Krishna consciousness, that is the highest level of consciousness, it goes along with bhava and prema, the deepest ecstasies of consciousness. And that can only be experienced when he crosses the Viraja river. It's interesting, it describes, when the jiva goes, he bathes in the Viraja river, his subtle body is dissolved. And then he goes in his pure atmic form into the Goloka realm, or wherever he is destined to go. For those who are Ram Bhaktas, to Ayodhya, for others Vaikuntha, and for others to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. That's very interesting. So now the relationship between Krishna, some call him Purushottam, the material energy, and the jiva is creating a triangle. This is creating a triangle, these three relationships. And there are four schools who have commented on this relationship. And these four schools are called four sampradayas. The Brahma Sampradaya, the Kumara Sampradaya, the Shri Sampradaya, and the Rudra Sampradaya. These are the four acharyas, the great teachers. Rudra, Shiva himself is a teacher. So therefore you should respect him also. And he had disciples who gave this knowledge in Kali Yuga as the Sampradayak acharyas. Brahma, he gave this knowledge to, in the Gaudiya line, it is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the Madhava line, which is, we actually were a branch of the Madhava line, this knowledge is gotten from Madhvacharya. In the Kumara Sampradaya, the four Kumaras, the first sons of Brahma, which is part of the creation also. Each step of creation has a name. When the Kumaras were born, it's called Kumara Sarga. It's like that. and they are the disciples of the what is it? The Rudra Sampradaya. No, I just said it. Kumar Sampradaya, and their disciple was Nimbarkacharya, who gave that knowledge. Lakshmi ji, Sri Devi, she gave the knowledge to Ramanujacharya, and Rudradev gave it to Vishnu Swami. This is how that triangle knowledge comes. Now, everyone has a different way of describing it, but it's basically the same, right? Some call it is one and different, Bheda Abheda. Some add some to that, Swabhavika Bheda Bheda. Some call it Achintya Bheda Bheda. The relationship is one and different. Now, something can be one and can be different at the same time. So, one in the sense like we have Achintya Bheda Bheda, qualitative oneness, right? Qualitative oneness. But desires and activities are different. They get rasa. This is Achintya Bheda Bheda. Nimbarkacharya has Swabhavika Bheda Bheda. Now the word Swabhava appears also in the Gita. What is that? Shauryam Tejo Dhrite Daksham Yuddhi Chapi Palayanam Danam Ishra Bhavasya Kshatram Karma Swabhavajam. Right? Those who are born with these qualities, they are called Kshatriyas. Not because they are born in a family. If they have these qualities, then they are called Kshatriya. So Nimbarkacharya is describing this triangle, this relationship between Jiva and Brahman and Jiva and Maya as Swabhavika. Their bhava, their nature, their emotions are one and different. He doesn't talk about the substance. Now, I have to say that Nimbarkacharya's philosophy is closest to our philosophy. Just like Brahma wrote a Brahma Samhita, he sang this song. And Sanat Kumar also sang a song called Sanat Kumar Samhita. And many things we have taken out of that. In ISKCON and our Puja handbooks, Pancharatra Pradeep, some of the mantras directly copied from the Sanat Kumar Samhita. Very interesting. And in there, Sanat Kumar has given also the Mahamantra in his Sampradaya. You know how it is? Sanat Kumar's Mahamantra? Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham, Radhe Radhe. So we cannot say it's not bona fide. Sanat Kumar gave it, but in his line. We have Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Similarly, this relationship has been described as Visishta Advaita. Shankara falls out of the four sampradayas of the Vaishnavas. He has his own sampradaya, Advaitic sampradaya. He calls it Kevala Advaita. Jiva, Brahman, they are just, of Jiva and Maya, they are just Maya. Everything is one. There's no triangle, so everything is one. And the Buddhists are even beyond that, everything is zero. So everything is zero, then Shankarana, everything is one. The Madhva comes, everything is two. And the Chaitanya comes, no, everything is one and two. Right? So like that. They come here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything is one and two. So it is basically the same. It says that everything is Brahman, but there are qualities also in Brahman. It's called Visishta Advaita. Ramanuja is probably very much like Ramanujacharya. And he many times comments on that because Ramanuja is Lakshman. Right? So these are great personalities. Nimbarkacharya is supposed to be Sudarshan Chakra, the discus in the hand of Lord Narayan. Then Vishnu Swami in the Rudra Sampradaya, his philosophy is a little different. We don't know much about him because his teachings were lost. Later, Vallabhacharya, he took over that Sampradaya, and his philosophy is Shuddha Advaita. Krishna is pure, and there is a higher Brahman, and there is a partial lower Brahman from which everything emanates. And Krishna is the higher Brahman, and there's a lower Brahman. Anyway, that's how Vallabhacharya explains things. So this triangle relationship has been given by different acharyas in different ways. But the Nimbarikis are the most closest to us, specifically when it comes to bhava. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this from the Navadip Dham Mahatmya, he took from the four sampradayas, like different parts. From the Sri Sampradaya, what did he take? What aspect from the Sri Sampradaya we have in our Sampradaya? Very good, Vaishnava Seva. What did he take from the Nimbarkas line? Radharani supremacy and the Gopi's love for Krishna. These two aspects he took. So Sakhi Bhava, therefore that Sampradaya is also called Sakhi Sampradaya. So if you're in Vrindavan and you hear about Sakhi Sampradaya, then you know it's Nimbarkas line. And they're really mad after Srimati Radharani. And they're so emotional. Present day Vrindavan has two Babas. They call Jai Vijay. And they're making these beautiful songs. Everyone of every sampradaya who comes and wants to have some love for Srimati Radharani, they listen to these Babas. And these Babas, they're so renounced. They live in an ashram where there's no electricity. No electricity there. And when they go for a program, they ask them to preach. I've seen them. They always leave around 6 or 7. They don't stay at night because they have a sadhana, strict sadhana. And they're so much respected by Brajavasis because they're so renounced. It's difficult in Braj when it is hot and you have no fan or AC, right? You live in a mud hut, a grass hut, and you chant Radhe, Radhe, Radhe. These Babas are like that. And I was asking, who do they belong to? Said Nimbarka Sampradaya. Oh, I see. Very renounced. And they are full of Radha's, Srimati Radharani's love. Amazing songs they make, full of bhava. Like that. So now, there are different opinions on when Nimbarka Acharya appeared. In the Padma Puran, we find a reference of Nimbaditya. Now, Padma Puran means that, Dwapara. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, in the 11th or 12th century, Nimbarka Acharya appeared. So that would be a little bit, anyway, he says that we have to accept that. But in the order of appearances to re-establish Vedic Dharma, from Buddha to Shankara to Ramanuja to Madhava, then Nimbarka would be like out of the steps of harmony, So anyway, we leave it there, what the acharyas say, because acharyas can differ in opinion, right? We see here in this verse. Acharyas can differ in opinion. Because when you describe the reality can come in many different levels. We also have a description of the universe. Getting heavy now. Of the universe, and it says that the universe has different layers of peels, like earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And each layer is 10 times thicker than the previous one, isn't it? Those who have read Bhagavatam. It's thicker than the previous one. What does it mean? That each element within the universe creates the universe 10 times its size. That's what it basically is. So it is not that all the elements which are in our dimension, that it's only earth. No, all the elements are here: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. But as they expand into the layers, then the universe becomes 10 to the power 8 is the size for those beings who live in those realms. So if they look at our dimension, they might see that, oh, it's another, and the laws are different than in their dimension. And they might describe the universe in their own way. And it might differ. Just like the Bhagavatam's description of the universe, of the Earth planet is 1,000 times bigger. Yeah, 1,000 times bigger. So that would say 10 to the power 3. So definitely he's speaking from another state of consciousness. And when it happens like that, then sometimes things might look a little bit contradictory. And sometimes the devotees also get a little bit confused about this. Okay. Now I have to choose. Describe this point or go to Tulsi Shaligram Vivaha pastime. What do you like to hear? More tattva or little bit rasa? Rasa, okay. Then we go to Tulsi Shaligram Vivaha. This story is coming from the pastime is coming from the Padma Puran. And there it describes that there was a demon named Jalandhara. And that was actually Sridham, the brother of Srimati Radharani. What happened according to the Brahmavarta Puran, that Vrinda and Sridham, they fell in love with each other. Now, there is no place for such a relationship in Golok because everything is centered around the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So they had to descend to earth to live that desire. And Sridhama became a demon named Jalandhar, born from the ocean. Powerful demon. And Lakshmi considered him to be her brother because she's also born from the ocean. And Vrinda, she became the wife of Jalandhar. Her name remained Vrinda Devi, like that. So, as demons do, they always try to torment the devatas. So they complained that he has to be dissolved into nothing. So they went to Lord Vishnu and said, listen, can you kill him? He said, okay, yes, I will kill him. And as he was preparing to kill this Jalandhar, Lakshmi interfered. He said, please defeat him, but don't kill him. Why? He's my brother. He's also born from the ocean. And Vishnu being Bhaktavatsal, he could therefore not kill Jalandhar. So he left the battlefield. And Jalandhar said, see, I'm so powerful. Even Vishnu couldn't defeat me. So the Devata was very dejected, and he went to Lord Shiva. So Shiva first called Vishnu. Vishnu, why didn't you kill him? You could kill him easily. I know your power. Yes, but I'm Bhakta Vatsala. I always get defeated by Bhakti, and Lakshmi asked not to kill him, and I have to listen to him. You have to listen to your wife, isn't it? You listen to your wife, isn't it? So Vishnu listened to his wife, and he couldn't kill Jalandhar. So okay. So then Shiva, he said, yes, I could kill him, but there has to be a cause for a quarrel, for a fight. You can't just go and just kill him. There should be some reason. So Narad came. He said that I leave it up to me. I'm willing to. I'm easy to make a quarrel with him. So he went to Jalandhar and said, Jalandhar, you think you're the lord of the three planetary systems, Bhur, Bhuvar, Swar. So isn't it that you should possess everything which is the best in the universe should be in your possession? He said, yes, of course. So you don't know the most beautiful woman you're not possessing. Who's that? Come with me. So he went to Kailash, and then he see that lady dancing there? It's called Parvati. She's the most beautiful woman in this universe, And she's married to this sadhu who's not doing anything. He's just sitting and meditating. So unless you conquer this Parvati, you cannot be the Lord of the universe, Ah, really? So he wrote a letter to Shiva. He said, Madir Baba, you're just meditating, you just meditate. Give me that beautiful Parvati. So Shiva saw the letter, and he wrote back, if you can catch her, can grab her, you can come and take her. And in this way, the quarrel started. And Shiva fought with this Jalandhar. But before that, Shiva has his ganas and his army of ghosts and goblins. And he also has another form, a Kali's form. And it means like an army of Chandi, the Chandi army. Even Narendra Modi, the president of the present Bharata Desha, when they were installing Ram Lala in Ayodhya, they have built a beautiful temple now of Ram Lala, little baby Ram. And it was protected by 5 layers of army. And as I saw it on the television, they were all women. I was saying, what is he doing? Later it dawned to me, he's creating a Chandi army, a women's army. Because men in Kali Yuga are equal to women anyway, so what does it matter? They don't fight with their swords, with their power. It's all with guns and bullets. So women can also do that. So he created a Chandi army. So Ram here, Vishnu was being protected by Chandi. So she was sent her, go and fight with Jalandhar. And Kali went there with her army. But Jalandhar, he saw, this is Jagata Janani, she's the mother of the universe. I cannot fight with her. So she challenged him, and Jalandhar was paying obeisances. Then she threw her weapons. Jalandhar was countering them, but not firing back. Then she took her power and raised him into the sky and threw him on the ground. And as he fell, he was paying obeisances. So Kali said, I cannot fight him. He's worshipping me. So he went back to Shiva and said, I can fight him. Why? He's behaving like this. He's paying respects all the time to me, seeing me as the mother of the universe. Oh, okay, problem. Okay, let me go. Then she went and he fought with his Jalandhar, and finally Jalandhar lost his head. As he was dying, then this Sridhama form came back. He was liberated from that thing. Now, in between the fight, in between the killing of Jalandhar, something is happening there. What happened here is that Jalandhar, he still wanted Parvati. He was really fallen in love with her. So what he did, by his mystic powers, he transformed himself in the form of Shiva and approached Parvati. So as he came with blood here, cuts here, Parvati says, look, this rascal, what he's done to my husband, But this wounded Shiva, I was asking for conjugal enjoyment, and Parvati was shocked. In that state, somebody's mind, he's out of his mind. Maybe he's not my husband. So she asked her Sakhi, she has 2 Sakhis, Jaya, Vijaya, go and check, see if he's my husband or not. So anyway, that's some intimate connection. And then she realized this is not Jalandhar. This is somebody else. Oh no, sorry, this is not Shiva. This is somebody else. Who are you? Some demon. Now, as that was happening, Lord Vishnu took the same trick. He took up the form of Jalandhar and approached Vrinda. And he had conjugal enjoyment with her. And when she felt that her chastity was broken, she became very angry and cursed him. You, who are you? And then he showed himself, I am Lord Narayan, the Lord of the universe. You have a heart of stone, become stone. She cursed him. And Vishnu cursed him back. You become a tree. She became Tulsi, he became Shaligram. Then Narada, my dear child, you did so much austerities as Vrinda to get Krishna as your husband. No, you got him and you cursed him. What is this? Then she realized, Narada opened her memory, her thoughts about Krishna. Oh, and then she surrendered. But by this cursing each other, now we have Tulsi and Shaligram who got married today. So we could have a nice marriage ceremony like we have in Mayapur also. One can carry Vrinda on her head and one can Shaligram, and you do the Saptagamani, Saptapadigamani you can do here and you can celebrate. That's basically what happens on this day. Also on this Purnima, then Krishna has his beautiful rasa dance, and there's some beautiful poetry written about this. Tarare namalo chedo ek taro, hu thari meera tu girdhar maro. Ajno chandaliyo mane lage bahu valo, keh do suraj ne ke uge nahi tharo. So this is a beautiful song in Gujarati. It's describing that the gopis are praying to the sun, don't rise tonight. The Rasasleela is so beautiful, let the moon always be full. And Krishna, he fulfilled the desire during the Ras dance. The dance became a day of Brahma. So as far as I remember, it was this Ras Purnima, which was like extended by Krishna to the next day of Brahma. So long they were dancing without any fatigue. So this is this beautiful day. It is the last day of Kartik. So the last day for you to offer a lamp and get the benefit of, what is it, 100 or 1,000 lamps offering to Krishna. And also the last day of Bhishma Panchaka. So it's all happening together here with Nimbarkacharya also. So I end my class here. Any questions or comments? We have 1 or 2 minutes left. So we went from quantum physics into Rasleela. Anything? Okay. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.